Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's Matt Cook, and I'm here with Jonathan Green. How are you doing, Jonathan?
I'm ready to feel the mayhem. I'm feeling good.
It's the Men's Mayhem Hour. It's so much fun. Everybody is sending us more and more questions and stuff. So you can submit a question right now just to go to getrapidhelp.com and send a message, a question to me, Matt. It'll give you an option to send something to Matt. And I am a health and sex researcher, and I've been doing this for 25 years. I have 700,000 newsletter subscribers. I've helped tens of thousands of men, including U.S. congressmen, priests, rabbis, regular people, famous musicians, sports figures, all sorts of people. And Jonathan Green is a lives now on his tropical island. Before that, he was one of the most famous dating coaches in the world. And between us, we try to create a lot of men's mayhem each week. So we hope you'll keep joining us and have some entertaining and maybe a little bit interesting things that you'll discover. So let's get right into it. I'm going to ask you this question first, okay, and then you can ask me a question. So
Okay.
this is someone said. She says, "My fiance doesn't want me to call him daddy anymore." Okay, it's just like the kink is over somehow. Okay, so I'm 26. This is a woman talking. She says her fiance is 27, and they started this sort of like, I guess this is a common kink. Um, she called it DDLG dynamic, which I didn't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
I'm pretty sure it's dad, little girl. That's my
Oh, okay,
guess.
okay,
That's a
good.
guess.
Okay,
I
okay.
was
And
looking
she
at
says,
myself and going, doodle.
she says, I'm not in age play, but it's kind of fun. Like he'd hold my face and go, "Are you going to be a good girl and do the dishes or whatever it is?" And so we started doing all that, and I could give him my cute face and say, "Please, Daddy," and he'd oblige. But somehow we had a bunch of turmoil and stress, moving across the state, almost breaking up, all sorts of stuff, and we haven't been intimate for the past month or so, maybe once or twice, but that's about it, despite my attempts. Okay. When we were, she said, it kept slipping out. And then every time I get in my head, like, no, don't do that. He doesn't like that. Stop it. Blah, 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 blah. So anyway, she says, any advice? Anyone else going through anything similar? How did it, what happened?
Yeah, don't say it. Don't say it. Daddy doesn't like it. Daddy doesn't like it.
I think there's so many kinks out there that it's really hard to
So,
believe that lots of people are going through something similar, but I'm sure, if we broaden the
well, I'm going through
scope,
this
it's
exact
quite common.
one.
Okay. All right.
This
Well, there
one,
you go.
that's why I thought I had this one to be my first question too,
Okay.
because a couple of weeks ago, I said it to my wife as a joke, and I did not like it. It was so horrible, and she saw how uncomfortable I was. So she said it a couple of times. Is it just like
You said to
it's
her, "Are you
so?
daddy's girl?" or something like that. Is that
I didn't know
what
if I
we're
said that. I said something like "call me
okay?
daddy," but I was like kind of joking, and then she did, and I go, "Oh, I don't like this at all. Like it's horrible." So, um, it we also have four kids, right? So I think that it's one of those things that's okay if you don't have kids, right? But it's like if you do, then it gets weird because there's other people that do call you daddy, right? So
Yeah.
it's very I've never heard it from two people that are the same age. I thought it was like more of a he's a little older kind of thing, but I got thrown off when she says, I like him to call me daddy, but I'm not into age play. I don't know what that means. Like that
I
threw me
mean, I
off.
think you are in age play. I think that's kind of the definition of it. Maybe she
Well,
said
maybe
it's
she means
soft
like I
core.
don't
Maybe
make
it's not
him.
hardcore. Maybe she's not in
Yeah, like
diapers
he
or
doesn't put
something.
me in a
So
diaper, but
yeah,
he
yeah,
does like, spank me. But
yeah.
so here's the thing. They've established a pattern and it's really hard to undo. What happens is it's careful what you wish for, you might get it. And if you're doing something for 3 years, here's the thing. He probably stopped liking it a long time ago. It took a long time to finally say something, right? So to her, it's just the transition out phase. At least she's trying to stop doing it, right? But it sounds like it was a
Mm-hmm.
big part of it, and it's like 24/7, and it was like more than a kink. Like it's not a kink because it's every part of their lives. It became a defining component of their relationship. So my feeling is like you just have to once you establish a rule in a relationship, it's hard to take a step back. It's really
Mm.
hard to hit undo or unring a bell, and that's what they're trying to do. But she's trying to do it. I mean, it seems like they're on the same wavelength. She's trying to stop doing it. And I think that he's got to like bear with her. Like it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. I don't know why she's written such a long question when they're trying to, but also there's a lot of other stuff in here,
It's
like that
much
she
more.
wrote about,
I
like
was going to say it's much
we're
more
in
than the question.
therapy, we're in
Yeah.
therapy, we did pre-marriage counseling, which I recommend, but it's like, but your relationship's on the rocks. Like there's a lot of other problems that are happening. Like she talks about, we almost broke up and then this and happened. And so I feel like what's actually happening is this daddy stuff is a mask for the real problem. And that's what's more important.
Mhm.
Because she says, her last thing she said is like, I'm hoping that the desire to interact in that way will come back because
Mhm.
it hurts.
Yeah.
I can't call him daddy anymore. So there's something else going on. It's
Yeah. Yeah, they're
like,
kind
let
of
me ask you
breaking up.
this.
They're coming apart. That's really what's going on. So this is a
Well,
symptom of that, basically.
you have nicknames and pet names for your wife, right? Are they the
Of
same ones
course.
as when you guys first met?
No, we've talked about there's an evolution. Not at all. They're not the same.
Yeah,
They've changed. Yeah.
that's what I mean. So to me, evolution is normal. Like the way I see my wife now is significantly different than 11 years ago. 11 years, long time. It's almost about to hit 12 years. So the nicknames and the language and the way we joke has changed significantly. So it's the fact that she's like, oh, he wants to change nicknames is like, it doesn't seem like a big deal. So there's got to be something else going on. Like if my wife was like, don't call me this nickname, call me a different nickname. Like I think, okay. Like it would be a transition period where I get used to the new nickname, but it wouldn't be a big deal where I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
really, so this is a fetish for the girl because it has more
Okay.
power.
I
So,
I think it's more than that. I think it's longing for the relationship to be good again. And it's
okay.
like that's a symptom of okay, it's breaking up.
Ah.
They're
So when
not
things were good, I
calling.
could call him daddy. Now that things are bad, I can't call him that anymore.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
that
she
makes
feels
sense.
sad about the relationship. It's
Pretty good
all
at this.
falling apart now, and that's the end of the relationship, basically. So we long for what we had once. I had a
You
question that
gotta
came
find it.
in that I thought was pretty interesting on the same topic, actually. It was very simple. It's actually a question somebody said. He said, does a person ever regret getting a divorce? Do they ever regret breaking up? What do you think? I mean, I'd say obviously yes, sometimes.
Wait, do people ever regret getting divorced? I think
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Like what? A lot of people do. So
yeah.
it's here's the thing. There's this idea that everything will be easy, all your problems go away. Same thing that people think, oh, our relationship will be solved by having a baby, right? Our relationship is solved by getting divorced. No,
Yeah.
because half of the reason you're getting divorced is you. So even if the other person's gone, you're still there. And there's all these other things, right? Like you have to figure out what, like, are you going to go back into the dating pool? Do you have kids or not? There's so many components.
Hmm.
And you can't, when you get divorced, you don't go back to being single, right? You're divorced. You have a different perspective, right? You don't go into the same dating pool because you're not the same age. I'm always like, I'm more familiar with women who re-enter the dating pool and then they're shocked to find out that it's really hard to date at 36 compared to dating at 18.
You should have thought of that.
Like they just because what happens is women are more social. Like you ever notice that like if one woman in a group gets pregnant, they all seem to get pregnant. And I've seen where they all get the same haircut. And I've seen where one woman gets divorced and she convinces all her friends to do it. And now they're all like living that like what is it? What's that drink they drink? I forget. Like not margarita, but something martini, right? They're having that martini lifestyle, but then they all kind of realize it's not as good as you thought. And there is something about a long-term relationship. Like as much as my wife and I have ups and downs, I don't want to pretend that we don't fight. Like you have to make this decision, which it used to be. Marriage used to be a decision like we're in this hell or high water, which it's not anymore. And you have to make, if you make the decision, divorce is off the table, like we'll do whatever it takes to make things work, it changes the dynamic, right? If you're like, we're going to really not make that like one of the first choices, right? If things go bad, there's a lot of other things we can do. And that's a mindset thing and kind of it changes the way you negotiate because if you always have the nuclear option, right? It creates, oh, we stay together because of mutually shared destruction. That's not love. So there's
Well,
a lot to think about. But yeah, of course people regret getting divorced
so
because it's never what you think. The grass is always greener until you get over there.
well, there was a great experiment called the jam experiment that's very famous. So basically, they have like 16 flavors of jam. they offer them to somebody and they can't decide which one to take, and they really get uncomfortable because they're going to buy the wrong one. But if they offer them 3 or 4 flavors of jam and that's it, people love the jam more. It's easy to choose between, 3 or 4 choices, whereas 16 choices, it's hard to choose and you feel like you made the wrong decision when you leave. And so, how does this have to do with marriage? Well, it's because if you always feel like you have the choice of leaving or staying, then you're never going to invest in the marriage or the relationship what you should. Because, like you called it the nuclear option. It's true. And that's why a lot of times, not always, but many times, arranged marriages where the parents arrange the marriage work because the two people just decide they're just going to make this work regardless, And if people decide they're going to make a relationship work, it's much more likely to work. So I think that even though I'm glad that we have the ability to divorce and we're not in really bad marriages as much as we used to be, I think that the bad part of it is probably even worse, which is that people just look at the the door to leave, the exit, instead of investing in what they have. And so clearly they're going to regret breaking up quite often because they're lonely. They don't have that person anymore. There's a big hole in their life. And I heard someone once say that it's like our lives are like flower gardens. And you might have a big old weed in your garden, right? And you pull that weed finally, but now you have a big empty space in that garden. You need to do something with that space. If you get rid of a person that was the most important person in your life, you're going to have this emptiness in your life, which could last for years or the rest of your life. You don't know. And loneliness is very, very bad. And a lot of people without that main relationship just end up, especially men, very, very lonely. And this is why you and I both feel the same way about this, that we feel that men should be investing in friends. That many men, especially once they get into a relationship, they just stop working on their social life and they stop maintaining contact with their friends. I'm talking mostly male friends. And they just sort of settle in the comfort zone of just letting their wife or their girlfriend decide what they're going to do on the weekend and who they're going to get together with. And then eventually, if that relationship is over, they don't have any friends at all. They're just by themselves. So I'd say that you should be very careful to try to invest in your relationship because it may be the best one you ever had in your life. And you should maintain friendships and try to continue building new friendships, even if you're in a relationship.
Yeah, I agree. Most men, the number of friends you have peaks at 22, and then for the rest of your life, it just goes down, right?
Yeah.
As they
Yeah.
pass away or move away. And that's something you have to think about. Like, most of my friends are online because I live in the middle of nowhere, but I have made 2 new friends recently, like I have a good relationship with that I've met through business stuff, and we talk once a week, and it's part of it. But I looked at my parents, like when they got divorced very late in life, I was like, but neither of you guys have any friends. What are you guys doing? Like,
Mhm.
why are you
Yeah.
just going to be 2 people alone? And that's the thing, is that it's very hard now, especially when you have a lot of kids. My parents had 4 kids, I have 4 kids, so I don't really have time. Like, there's a recent study that said men need to have 2 nights with their friends a week, like 2 men's nights, and that doesn't appeal to me. So I would rather
No.
spend more time with my kids, but that's a phase I'm in. And as your kids get older, they want to spend less time with you, right? As they're slowly shifting away, and you have to spend more time with your friends. So I'm very aware of that. I think of it that way, but I've seen a lot of it happen to a lot of guys. You think, oh, especially considering how high the divorce rate is, you just have to have some little bit of a plan for if it happens to you, since it's like a 50% chance. I have one for you that I think you're gonna love. This one is like right down the middle. I saw this one. I was like, I gotta share it too. Okay, my girlfriend. We're 24. We just made it official that we're boyfriend and girlfriend. We started telling everyone we're dating. First time we cuddled, she smelled like dog poop. I didn't want to put my nose
Oh
near
no.
her, and that's the only thing I think about being close to her. I pushed it aside and didn't think too much about it. How is that possible? How could you not think about like? And listen to
Yeah, smells
this.
are very, very impactful.
Yeah, but this is like a tier 1 smell. Like, this isn't like a
Right. Oh
normal
yeah.
smell.
No, I
Like,
know. I know.
she probably didn't get the chance to shower and forgot to brush her teeth. So now he's saying it was her teeth that smelled like poop. Like, this is a serious
Mm-hmm.
accusation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Today we watched a movie. The smell wasn't as intense, but still bad. It didn't smell like dog poop this time, but it was as if she wore a dirty beanie for 3 days straight and didn't wash her hair after. I was so disappointed because I was planning to kiss her tonight and make a move, but I couldn't pull myself to because of the unclean smell.
Hmm. Okay.
What do I say to her? And I can't
Yeah.
break up with her because we just made it official. I
Well, you
can't.
can break up with her.
We
It's
just
quite easy.
I see a future together, but I need something to change. Now, you're an expert on these things. I'm thrown off by the what causes a dog poop smell. I've never encountered that in a person unless they've
Hmm.
stepped on dog poop. Like that's a very
Hmm.
strong one. It's not like he didn't say bad breath. He didn't, you know what I mean? He didn't say
Hmm.
BO. Although the second one was like unwashed 3 days of unwashed hair. Like
Hmm.
what do you think is causing the smell?
Uh, so a couple of things. First of all, smell is very subjective. So we are one of the businesses that I'm a part of, Ideal Male Labs. We actually have a workshop, and we make colognes with animalic accords and for men to buy, and they smell really fantastic. Women love them. They love the scent on a man. They just are wonderful. And we've gone around the country and interviewed women, and like women always perceive this as a different smell. They don't all smell the same thing. And this is true of boyfriend and girlfriend. You each sort of smell the other person differently. It's very subjective. So if another guy went up to this girl and inhaled near her, he may not get a dog poop smell at all. It may just be some kind of interaction that this man is perceiving with his girlfriend. That, I mean, I'm sure he smells that, but it may not be subjectively what someone else smells. And I had a girlfriend a long time ago. I broke up with her. I didn't like how she smelled. It was just, that was really the reason I didn't like to be around her. And it wasn't that it was bad like this dog poop, but it didn't appeal to me. And smell is the most important primitive sense that we have. It overrides everything else, really. When you get into bed, the smell and the taste and all that is so important. You have to like and enjoy your significant other's smell and taste, or else I believe the relationship is doomed. People that lose their sense of smell, they sometimes become suicidal. Did you know that? Because they just don't enjoy things. They don't have the pleasure. And after a while, they can't have the relationships that they were having. And it's awful. So it may
Huh.
be that he perceives her smell badly, and maybe they're not meant to be together because there's something called the major histocompatibility complex, MHC. We each have a different histocompatibility complex. It's basically a fingerprint smell wise that we each have. And it has to do with our genetics, really. And he may not like hers. They may not be compatible that way. Alternatively, it could be that she has a grooming issue or some kind of an illness that's causing this. So there's a whole variety of them that can happen down there for both men and women. She may have a gut issue that causes like bad bacteria to have accumulated in her system. It could be that she has bad teeth, or she has a periodontal infection in her teeth that's causing that. That's very, very likely. So she may be able to get help if she's goes to a dentist and gets a deep cleaning. She may actually never have gone to the dentist, or she may not have been in years, and she may have periodontal infection that's causing that smell. And that's probably more likely what it is if it's as bad as he says. So those are some observations I would make.
So this is something I dealt with my wife when we first got together. It
Okay.
was like, and it was a tooth thing. So she had a tooth that we tried to save. Like we went to all these different dentists, and it was just rotten on the inside because she just grew up without being able to afford going to a dentist. So eventually they pulled it, which was like I was trying so hard to fight for it because like I like a full set of teeth, and it is what it is. And it eventually just like exploded. And once it was gone, yeah, things were way better. But it that's the thing, is that his is like it's a hard thing to say to someone because it feels like such a personal
Yeah,
shot. Like I had a friend
it
in middle
is.
school. I told him, I was like, dude, you got a situation. And it's like, wouldn't you rather be told so you can deal with it? But he like never spoke to me again, and I never had to smell him again. So maybe I'm the winner. But yeah, I mean, this thing is like we've never kissed, but she might be the one. Like maybe hold your horses. And also, it is interesting that dog poop is such a big one. Like, I just can't imagine someone smells like dog poop to one person and roses to another. Like, I just can't imagine it's that extreme, but maybe I'm
Hmm.
wrong.
Right.
But golly, the second one of like, so I've got some ideas. If it's external, because what he's describing is two outside smells, right? Like her body smells like bot poop and her hair smells rotten. I would suggest, I'm just going to say a pool date.
A pool
Like, get
date.
her in the pool, get her
Okay.
in the pool, just like dunk her real good, like dunkaroo,
Really?
like playful. We're splashing each other, and maybe you can like like
Really?
accidentally shower her up a little bit, right? Like you little, oh, let's do a romantic bath
Well,
together.
they could take a shower together. I mean, that would be kind of fun. And they, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean
you're
the
right.
thing is,
I don't think this is something that's like from her body. I think it's probably from her teeth. You're probably right about that.
because it just the way he's describing it, because he didn't describe a breath thing, right? He's using words like unclean, but yeah, I mean the thing is like, I was actually going to suggest hammering your nose and killing your sense of smell, but it sounds like it's not worth it
Hmm.
disturbing the
No,
relationship. But
no, it's not worth it.
I,
And, it could be a real physical problem. So
well,
it's,
it's also
it
like
could,
it's not her
it could,
downstairs, which is way worse. But what about this? So I always think about
yeah.
this. There's like three ways to deal with this: get rid of it, cover it, or mask it. Right? So there's like find the source of the smell and get rid of it. Then there's like cover it with deodorant, and then there's like hide everything behind a cologne or perfume. Right? Like those are the things. Like maybe what he does, again, this is just an idea, is he like when she comes over, he just hits her with something. Like he just sprays her. He's like, "Hey, what do you think of this new cologne?"
Yeah. Like 20
Just comes
sprays.
in like they do when you go, like when you're at the mall, and if
Yeah.
you don't walk fast enough through the department store, they just start hitting you until you throw up or sneeze. Like he just comes in hot, goes, "Oh, so sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my finger. I think I have Tourette's finger," and then like see if you can mask it up. Like I don't know, it's an idea.
I just put some incense on. I love incense. I love perfumes and incense. And while we're talking, I just put some
Yeah,
nice. It's pretty good incense. And believe it or not, there's incense that costs thousands of dollars. This is not that, but yeah, I think the sense of smell is it's the most important part of a relationship. I would even say because you can't get past it. And that's if you don't like her smell. But if she has a physiological problem, let's go to the next question. So here's
fire
something I want
away.
to ask you. All right. Um, this is a well, okay. So here's the story. I hate to think about divorce, but I met my wife on a Christian dating site, which may have been a mistake actually. First LTR. Do you know what LTR is?
Long-term relationship.
Oh, got it. Of course, of course.
I know
Thank you.
all the nerdy talk. I know all those
I know.
special
I ask
words.
you. You're my pop nerdy expert. She was my first kiss, my first everything. We dated for a while, really got along well. We seemed to share values, common goals. I was just in love, and it's now bittersweet, really. But I would have done anything for her at the time. However, she leaves me for 2 months while she's pregnant. In fact, her brother, my brother-in-law, her brother sends me physical threats, intimidates me. I don't know the whole story, but that's what he wrote. Took out this
Yeah.
$20,000. I took out $20,000 in loans to afford the delivery, buying her new ring, going to anniversary trip. When we got back together to heal the marriage, and I also had to move for my job. She stops breastfeeding. She gets I guess he says she gets an induction. I think he's mixed up here, but it put our baby at unnecessary risk about having him early. And we don't have sex as often as I'd like, but I'm numb to this. The relationship has caused my professional work to suffer. I'm in a major depressive, suicidal episode, failing one of the most important exams of my life. When my son is born, house is never clean. I hate it. I'm a very clean person. It's horrible being here and living here and sleeping in this filth. She's always on her phone. I'm always having to repeat what I say several times because she doesn't hear me because she's on her phone. Okay. Now she's sleeping with our son in the living room instead of in bed with me. And, I feel like there's just so much baggage here and everything. And I even let myself be talked into buying a van when I had some money. Now we have these $500 a month loan payments. That was so stupid. So, what do you think I should do? I want to continue being a good Christian husband, okay? But I don't know what to do. The resentment is making it very, very hard to continue. What is your read on this terrible story?
He's not married.
Terrible.
What are you talking about? So
Yeah.
here's something important to understand. Marriage is a partnership. If you're not partners, and they're not, so in every single part of it, Like this guy needs
Yeah.
it. Let's start at step one. You need to DNA test that kid. Like, let's cut to the chase. I don't think it's his kid. I think there's a high chance she disappeared for 2 months.
Hmm.
Dad, like that's
Well, she said while pregnant, but that doesn't mean anything.
but that's where do you think she went, right? Like this whole
Yeah.
situation. This guy should have jumped ship a long time ago. And this is the danger of people. Every time someone's like in their first relationship, it's like that's when you can be most taken advantage of. That's why it's better to have it when you're in your teens, so it's not as big a deal. But that's what I'm hearing
Yeah.
is
Earlier the
that
better for sure. You want to have your kid early rather than later.
I needs to get out of the relationship. I think he's not in a healthy relationship. I think she sounds awful.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
basically trying to bleed him for all of his money and then jump ship. I
Right.
don't think they're in
Yeah.
love.
That's an easy one. What's the next question you have for me?
Yeah. Okay. So my girlfriend's been hiding a male friend from me. She's been texting someone whose name is just one letter in her phone, and there's other suspicious behavior. So I'm not proud of it, but when she left her email open, I went through it. And immediately there was a receipt for an escape room and completion photo with another dude from just a couple weeks ago.
What does
And
that
his name
mean?
starts with
Completion
this.
photo.
I guess when you win, I'm hoping it doesn't mean completion.
That's
I'm
what I
hoping
was
it means
thinking, man.
they won the
That's where
escape
my
room.
mind always goes. Okay. Oh,
No, I know.
completion there. Okay. Okay.
They completed the escape room. If he found a video of the guy completing on his girlfriend, why is he posting, right? Like, why is he
Yeah.
asking this question? So he says his name starts with the same letter as the one letter name in her phone. And then she says she's going out with her friends a lot lately. So last night I asked her, who's this person, the one letter person? And she says, you have any guy friends you're hanging out with? And she says she doesn't have any guy friends in the area and that this person's her cousin. And I said, if I looked at your messages, would I find anything suspicious? And she said I wouldn't, but she sure didn't offer to show me anything. You know what she went and did is clean that phone out. Like she went and started deleting evidence. She's what is it, shredding? She's got the shredder fired up while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I always love the number of signs someone needs to know something's wrong. Like as soon as you said a one letter name in your phone, right? I already knew. I was like, it's either a spy, right? Possibility, they're spies, or she's up to like, she's like, or she's cheating and bad at it. Like the fact that the person has like, she didn't even give him like a girl's name or anything, and like that's it. I don't know why you need anything else. Like that's the thing is like, it is a standard trick. This is something that people do around here a lot. Is where like a woman, you'll meet a girl and then she'll introduce you to her brother, but it's really her other boyfriend or something. So I wouldn't, when someone goes, oh, it's my cousin, I'm like, well, have I met them? And if someone has friends you haven't met, like if you're dating someone and they're going out with friends you've never met or never seen, like, yeah. But this, as soon as you think, oh, I need to go through her email, then you already don't trust that person, right?
Yeah.
So the
If
trust
you
is
have to
already
go
so
through email,
damaged.
that's pretty bad. Pretty hard to come back from that. On the other hand, there are people that are very jealous and they're too quick to suspect, and they have something wrong with them, right? So that could be too. You know, he could be overly sensitive to this topic.
Well, he did send in an update which says she came home and broke up with him.
Okay.
He was right.
Okay.
But let me say it this way. Let me ask you a question. Do you know your wife's phone password?
No, I don't. Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I do know her password. I think I know all of her major passwords.
yeah, so I don't, I mean, I could guess it. I've never checked it, but I know it's a number that's like one of the numbers we know.
She doesn't like do her own. I'm her tech support, so I set the password.
I mean, I know her email password because I had to help her set up email because she didn't know how to use a computer when we met.
Yeah,
But it's like, I would never, like, I just, even when we're having a fight, I don't go through her phone. Like, that's not, I'm like, look, if she's cheating, she's cheating. Like, if you're doing it, do it, right?
It's a sign of weakness.
It's like,
if you're having to look through, okay, I'll give you an exception in a moment, but if you have to look through your wife or girlfriend's phone, you're very weak situation right there. You shouldn't be in a weak situation, you know. First of all, it shouldn't matter to you if if she's cheating, it's her, her problem in a way, because she's the one going to lose you, and and that's the way you have to look at it. It's very beta to be all suspicious and jealous all the time and act that way. Now, the exception would be if you have a girlfriend that has cheated or a wife that's cheated and she wants to stay together with you. then I think a condition of staying together is that I'm going to look at your phone at different times and make sure that you're not cheating. And I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, and I'll put a tracker on you.
That's reasonable too. If she wants to stay
Like,
together, if you make the rules and she agrees to them, I mean, I think it's reasonable because she already cheated. So if you really want to go there, I mean,
yeah,
and I've heard people say that a further condition should be that she tells you everything that she did with this other guy. I don't really want to hear about it, but that's what some people
okay.
say.
No. That's not a good one. Let me tell you. Okay, so this came up with me and my wife recently,
Yeah.
and I was
Hopefully not
like,
the same. Hopefully not the same thing.
no, a different version. And I was like,
Okay.
well, she's made a bunch of friends at the gym, like they're other moms from the school, right? And she goes out with them sometimes to one of their houses, and they drink wine, and she comes home a few hours later. Like she's not even going out. They're just out to someone's house, our neighbor's house. And I was like, well, let me show you something. And I looked on Amazon and they have chastity belts. So I was like, what do you think about this? And she said, hard pass. Like, but what do you think about that if your partner's cheated? What if you put on, like, you have a lock and key?
We had a little glitch there. Welcome back.
So I wanted to get your thoughts on that, like the idea of, I know I was obviously joking around with my wife because she'd never heard of one. And I don't think I've ever seen one until I looked up one on Amazon, right? You can get like a metal thing, like it's like a metal underwear with a lock on it, and you have the key. Like, you think that's like too far? Like that demonstrates too much lack of trust. Like, oh, I have
I
to
mean,
put
like
a
a
lock on
chastity
you.
belt kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. A chastity belt.
Yeah, that's a little too far, I think. But maybe not. I mean, maybe it's a good idea. It sounds fun. Oh, that is funny,
So
man. That is funny. Can you
my
my
wife,
audio okay?
yep, everything's fine. It's all
All
good.
right.
Were we about to watch a video?
Let's watch a video. Yeah, I had a video you sent over to me and I thought, "Oh, that's kind of interesting. Let's see this video because yeah, this is a dating thing with single mom. So let's take a look."
You're a single mom. How do you date? I feel like I'm having a hard time finding the balance between being a single mom and then dating. I am so overprotective of my daughter. Like, I won't leave my daughter with anybody to watch her just to go on a date. But I did start talking to this guy or whatever, and we know each other already. So, like, we already have that bond. Like, we were friends. We have that little connection. But he started, like, standing me up. Like he started slacking because we would have plans. So I would like get myself ready, I'd get my daughter ready for bed, I'd put her to sleep, and then he just would not show up. And I feel like I should have cut him off right there, but because like I'm such a lover girl, and I feel like when I'm talking to a man, that's the only man I'm talking to. Should have cut him off, but I didn't, because since we already knew each other, like he's been to my house before, he's met my daughter, I'm comfortable with him. So why would I stop talking to him when I already know I'm comfortable with him? You know what I mean? But I don't want to tolerate too much. Like, since I became a mom, I'm quick to cut people off. Like,
Huh. Wow.
So how many red flags did you count?
Well, I think the one thing is that if you're a mom, you have to do what's best for your child over everything else. So
Okay.
when you're dating,
Let me ask you a
it's
question.
equally important.
What do you think is better? You go out and you have your mom or a relative watch your child, or you have a guy come over while your kid's asleep and you get dirty on the couch. Which one's better? It's
It's not
like
an easy situation, is it? Not an easy one.
I
mean,
don't trust anyone who has to tell you they're good. Imagine if I was like, I'm a good dad, wouldn't you go, why are you saying that? Like, immediately you go, must not be if you have to tell me.
yeah.
Like if you have to
that's right.
compliment yourself. So it's always interesting to me. Like these are all the reasons why you wouldn't want to date a single mom, right? Is like so many movements there, right? Like, and it's interesting because she puts a huge amount of effort into her appearance, right? She's got a lot going on with her hair, a lot going on with her outfit,
Yeah.
a lot of
True.
stuff going on. And it's like so interesting when people say these things because they're always usually the opposite is usually true when people say things. It's like, well, it doesn't feel like you care about your daughter that much because you're out here making these videos and stuff. And here's the thing, right? It's that
That's true.
it's a person. Once you bring another person into the game, you have to make decisions that are the best for that person. And if you don't trust your child with someone else babysitting or watching or helping, why would you trust with like a stranger man in the house? It's very strange to me, right? It's like,
Well,
well,
she knows this
I get-
man. She said she knows him already. That he's sort of was a friend.
yeah,
or whatever.
but she's comfortable enough with that, but she's not comfortable enough with another woman to watch the kid, like her mom or her sister or cousin, I don't know, or the kid's dad. So there's some missing pieces there. But when you date a single mom, you just take on a much bigger thing, and it can be. And here's the thing, I have some friends, this happened to two friends of mine, where they started dating a single mom who had multiple kids. They became the dad to the kid, and one day the mom just jumped ship and said, hey,
Yeah.
I'm taking the kids and you can never see them again. And they're not
Oh,
really
yeah.
your kids, so there's nothing you can
They're
do. You have
not.
no legal
No
rights.
rights. Nothing.
And I've seen it happen to friends from different countries. And that's the thing, is like you're
It
actually in a
happened to
situation where
me when I was my mother got divorced very early when I was a baby, and I got very attached to one of her boyfriends, and then break up, and that's the end. It was kind of sad, kind of a big loss for me. It was like a father figure, and it was just gone one day. So I totally
Yeah.
relate to that.
So that's the thing, is that like you already know that she makes bad decisions, right? She got pregnant with someone she shouldn't
Yeah.
have. Then she ended the relationship despite of what it meant for the kids. And then she might say, well, the guy was a really bad guy. Well, that just means their first decision was worse, right? Or
What
the
are you
guy's
doing
in
with it
jail
then?
even more.
Yeah, what were you being pregnant with it then? Why would you do that? It's
So,
so bad.
when you see all of these moving parts, it's like there's a lot of signs that she makes poor decisions. And that type of person, very easily, right? You get in there, you fall in love with the kid, and then even though it's not best for the kid, she chooses what's best for her. That's why most people get divorced. We know some people right now that the mom is like jumping ship because she met someone with more money, right? And she's like, doesn't care. She's like dumping her kids, messing up her job, all that
Oh,
stuff
no.
because
Oh no.
of a little opportunity. And it's like, once people there's like two types of parents. There's the parents who the kids are the most important thing in the world, and then there's bad parents, like,
Yeah.
in my opinion, right?
Well, that's
There's
what I
people
said.
who
I said the first person that should come in her mind is her daughter, whatever's best for her daughter. I mean, that's the most
And it's
important thing.
not-
It's more important
yeah,
than her
so-
romantic happiness, honestly.
So you already have all of these signs that she's a poor decision maker and that she will leave a relationship, even though the relationship might be the best thing for the kid. So just tread carefully is all I can say to a guy.
I remember
Like,
seeing a
here's-
video by a guy. His name is George. I don't know if I think I might have mentioned him to you once. He's from one of the Eastern European countries. He does videos, and he said, never date a single mom. He said, never ever take care of a single mom's kid. They're not your kids. Don't ever help them or take care of them. Maybe I'm paraphrasing you, George, but that's what I got out of your video. And I kind of
It's not.
understand it, but I also feel bad about it because it would mean that no man would ever adopt or ever take care of children that don't have a father. And I think if a man does that, I think it's wonderful.
So that's the issue, is that it's not about the kid, it's about the mom, right?
Yeah,
And
that's right. Right.
like I said, I know guys who the moms continue to make decisions that are bad for the kids. So you're just playing with fire. So I get where he's coming from. I think he's probably 80% right, like 80% of the time, 90% of the time. Like I wouldn't want to date what's going on. Like I'm sure this lady's a nice lady, but there's too many moving parts. It's so dangerous. I don't know.
Okay.
Now
I have go ahead. You have one for me.
I've got one for you. My wife told
Okay.
me I'm replaceable.
Oh, wow. I guess it's true.
We've been married for 2 years, known each other for 6. We had an argument, and in the middle of it, she said I'm replaceable. Afterwards, she went out with her friends, and I've been dealing with some health problems for a while. The argument stressed me out, and I was nervous and unwell.
Yeah.
I was alone in the house and decided to call the paramedics because I felt that something was really wrong. And it turns out I had a heart attack. Oh, okay, fair enough. In the hospital, the hospital tried to call my wife, but she didn't respond because she was still upset about our argument. When she got home after partying with her friends and realized I wasn't there, then she came and saw me and stayed with me at the hospital, was crying the whole time and holding my hands. After we got home, she took care of me when I got home, and despite her best efforts, I couldn't stop thinking about how she told me I'm replaceable. I think about it all the time, and I want to confront her. What? Here's a secret, dude. Actions speak louder than words. When you needed her and she knew it was serious, she took care of you completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Let me give you 2 choices. You have a heart attack and your wife completely takes care of you, but she calls you replaceable. Or your wife calls you nothing but nice words and you're sick from the hospital and she's not around at all. Like, which one do you want to choose? Like sticks and stones, baby.
I think you should write off her say that. You should, yeah. Heat of the moment, she said something that she regrets. Everybody does. End of it, let it go. Even if you feel like it bothers you a lot, don't mention it to her. Just keep it inside and eventually it will lose its emotional impact. Everybody today thinks that you just have to, no, it isn't. But they say, oh, you have to just say whatever is on your mind. You should just get it out, dude. Don't hold everything in. No, you should hold this in. It's destructive. And it's just something that you think, it's just the heat of the moment. Just think about all the things that you ever did in your life that you regret. And like you said, she's there for you. So deal with it and don't ever say anything. Just I'm not going to tell you to forget it because I know you can't, but you should never mention it or say anything. Eventually it'll lose its impact and you'll be fine. I have another story like that. Yeah, go ahead.
There's no upside to the confrontation. And
No.
yeah,
No
we
upside.
always get this advice as men to like speak your truth and share your feelings. So I want to tell you something that happened today to me. So a friend of mine is a singer and he sent like him singing a love song, like really nice, like he's a well-known singer, like he's really successful.
Okay.
He's not just like a dude. And he goes, do me a favor, dance with your wife to the song. And I go, I don't think this is a good idea, but he's my buddy. So I played the song for my wife today on our new outdoor speakers. And she goes, what is this, death music? And she goes, this is a funeral song.
You knew
It's
her.
like
You knew it wasn't a good idea because of the kind of music
and
that
I said, I promised my friend we would dance to this. So we try and dance. It does not go well, right? Because she just isn't into that. Like she just doesn't see that. She doesn't like me to be feelings and emotions. She doesn't want me to speak my truth. And it wasn't. So then I played, just to make sure. Then I played like a Garth Brooks song, like a good Garth Brooks love song, just so my friend would know it wasn't his voice or something. I was like, no, she hates all music. So, and it's this idea that you have to, share your feelings all the
you don't
time.
have to.
And like,
don't do it.
and
You can
every
tell your
marriage has
buddy
to be
about
the
it if you
same.
want, but don't ever talk to her about it. Don't ever do that.
yeah.
Keep it
Have you ever
inside.
done that where someone's like, oh, tell your wife how you feel. And then you do it. And she looks at you like you're like a worm. She's like, gross. What are you doing having feelings? Like, I don't like that.
Well, there's a word that we have in English called husband. So if you look at, there's another word we call husbandry, like as an animal husbandry, like taking care of an animal. The word husband
being
is
married.
like taking care of somebody. All right. So my job is to take care of my wife too. And that includes emotionally not dredging some shit up that she said or saying that it's going to upset her. Like, why should I? I don't have to. I don't want her upset. Screw that. So I have another story here that This is a very different, kind of outcome here. He says, I had a cancer diagnosis a couple years ago, and then things were okay. I had a colonoscopy, and okay. Then she starts to be distant when I have that afterwards. She had planned her birthday drink. I didn't understand there was such a thing. And in April, okay, then I got this colonoscopy, and she said, "Oh, I'm just gonna have my drink anyway, whatever." So she wouldn't even think about rescheduling it. And then I needed hospitalization. It was cancer. She would visit me or say she'd visit, and then if she wouldn't show up, I have surgery. She calls me before the surgery and says I'm cute and everything, and then maybe she visits, maybe she doesn't. Times she pushes to visit me, even negotiating with the hospital staff because they don't allow visitors, but she got in anyway. But then she's no shows. So then I get chemo, and now she's like once a month she's visiting me because she says, "Oh, I have a job out of town." So we're talking back and forth on on texting, and I'm just thinking to myself, maybe I should just move on and finish my treatment. A year later, I'm missing her, but the treatment works. They have something called NED, which means there's no evidence of disease, which is good. In other words, he doesn't have cancer anymore. So he goes, "Well, I just want to wish her well and move on. She wasn't there for me. There was all those no-shows and everything." And what do you think? Am I wrong? My expectations too high?
So if you get cancer and your girl basically abandons you, uh, break up? Like, what does she have to do to this guy for him
Yeah.
to want to
Yeah.
end it? Like, the only thing she didn't do is put cancer in his food. Like, the only thing she didn't do is give him the cancer. So it's like, what? I'm just curious. I'm curious, like, what could this woman do that would make you finally realize she doesn't like you? Because if I have cancer, I don't want you to call me and tell me I'm cute. Like, just between you and me, like, that's not what I want to hear. Like, so having been through a heart attack, like, my wife was there 150%. Like, she went above and beyond. But like, if she ghosted me, that would be like one of the few things that's like a divorceable offense. If like, because that would be like such a big deal to know that like when
It's
I need you the most, you're
unthinkable.
not there.
It's unthinkable.
It's
If
like
somebody loves you, it's unthinkable.
to say like, and just to say these kinds, it's such a and that like, I want to just wish her well. She hates you. Like, that's the way she's treating you. So I'm sorry, but that's not apathy. That's what you do to someone you hate, right? Like, mess with them when they have cancer. Sorry. You got better.
Yeah.
Get revenge,
Yeah.
and good living is the best revenge. Or give her cancer back if she gave it to you.
Yeah, well, he's doing the right thing and moving on. So I want to share a news story with you. This is it's from a blog post, but I think it's a common sentiment. So I thought I would discuss it with you and ask you your opinion about it. This man says that people should have fewer children and that having only one child is great. He said women are working now looking for quality of life. They don't want to have spending their lives pregnant. He says we've destroyed 70% of nature. There's a moral issue. How can we pass that on to the next generation? Every child in an industrial country like ours has around 500 tons of carbon over their lifetime. I think he means 500 tons. That's equivalent to 1,000 years of electricity for a household. So each child has an impact. We're saying 1 is great, 2 is plenty, 3 is selfish. I think this might hit home for you. But it's a common sentiment.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about people that have had, there's men that are having vasectomies. And in fact, my brother did too, because he thought our childhood was really so sucky that he said, I don't want to bring a child into the world like this to have the kind of experience I had. So he got a vasectomy. And then there's common now for people, at least that's personal, but people say, oh, the whole world is so bad, I'm going to have a vasectomy, so I'm not contributing to it. What are your thoughts?
Listen, I think this guy should definitely not have kids. Like, so here's the thing I look at. Like, can you imagine your life is so blessed that the biggest problem you have is something you saw on Twitter? Like, what what a blessed life. Like the biggest problem you have is something you can't see, something that's immeasurable, something that is, they're always like, oh, it's 25 years away, 50 years away, 100 years away, 20, like whatever it is, it's far away, right? And it's like far away, you can't quite see it. And it's always interesting to me that people are looking for a reason to have complaints, right? They're just like, oh, here's what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you? Something that is like broad, it's happening to the whole world, right? And I'm like, wow, what a blessed life. That's the worst thing in your life. That's amazing. I would love, right? I would love to live a life where I'd never had any trauma other than Twitter. Like I know someone who had PTSD from Twitter. I was like, oh, that's interesting because I had PTSD when my whole family almost died in a Signal 5 disaster and I got to the hospital with 12 hours to live. But yours sounds way more real because someone tweeted something bad at you and there's nothing you could do to make that stop. I mean, it's not like you can just turn off your phone. So it's always interesting to me when people like, they're so desperate to be significant that they make a worldwide problem or someone else's problem their own because they just want attention. So that's all this is. I understand that you hear enough bad stuff, it convinces you that it's real. And I know there are people who have, like, there's a lot of people in America in therapy now for environmental disaster therapy. And like, I don't want to get political, but they're idiots. Here's a secret. Like 80% of all of the carbon is from the militaries. So you as an individual are so insignificant that your car, whatever car you drive, even if your car is coal powered, doesn't matter because of tanks. So the military is responsible for such a high percentage of all carbon emissions around the world that your personal effect is irrelevant because even if every human who is non-military stopped, it wouldn't make a difference because the military is that much of a percentage. So surprise, if you did any research, you would know that who invented the term carbon footprint is BP. Oh, you mean the biggest oil company in the world invented this other term? So I always, when people say things that demonstrate a complete lack of research, then it tells me that they found something on Twitter and they're just looking for attention. And listen, I agree that if you are someone who is that affected by stuff you read in newspapers or Twitter, you definitely shouldn't have kids. So I agree with him. He shouldn't have kids. It's a guarantee that he does, right? Because he's an old creep. He probably has a bunch of kids. He just doesn't want else to. And here's another example. So in Japan, they did this. They've convinced all the people not to have kids, and their entire economy is. The country of Japan may stop existing within 10 years because 80% of the population will be over 80.
Okay. Everybody's old. There's no young people. Yeah.
No, and young people don't get married. They don't have kids till they're older because they've all been convinced of that. Every time you do that, and here's the secret: who's having tons of kids? It's not people in America. It's not people in England.
Sub-Saharan Africa.
It's people. It's other countries where people have it's third world countries.
Here's a picture
where people have
see what's
kids.
On the screen there?
Yeah, 2 types of mermaids. Which type would you want to be with? The fish talk.
Did you always wonder what a mermaid would be? What you'd have down there? I love this. I guess it's an AI photo or picture. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to another one. Do you have another question that you want to discuss?
This one is crazy. We got some really crazy ones this week. I refused to put my boyfriend on my life insurance and I left my ex on it. So first I was like, whoa. But it gets crazy. I have 2 kids with my ex. They're 10 and 9. And one of them was born with leukemia. She's in remission, but our other kids got autism. So we split up when our kids were around 6 or 5 years old. But, a couple years later, I got with my boyfriend who I care about. It's all good. But at the end of the day, the life insurance is about supporting my kids if something happens to me. So what do you think?
Well, I think when you're married and then they said ex, so I'm going to assume it was a marriage. Doesn't matter. When you're married, you have children, you move on. There's always a bond between you and your ex that's going to be there for the rest of your life. You have children together, so you have to be in each other's lives because of your children. And you have to make decisions that are going to be good decisions for your children, even if you may not like each other anymore, or you may be in a different relationship, each of you may live in a different place, but you've got this bond as long as you have your children together. And so I can understand completely having the insurance, keeping it the way it was because for her children. So I think it's fine. And this new boyfriend
Yeah,
is an idiot if he thinks that she shouldn't do that.
listen, anytime your boyfriend or girlfriend starts asking about your life insurance, be suspicious.
Especially
You know
the
what I mean?
double
Like,
indemnity clause. That's the worst, when they
it's
start
like,
asking about.
why are you?
So if you die in a
Yeah.
train, it's twice the payout. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I know. Wait, so if you die while you're on a business trip, it's triple? How interesting. Like yeah, and this is a strange conversation to have with a boyfriend anyways.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
like,
That's insane. All right. Well, so here's a one I wanted to ask you about because I think it's an interesting. It talks about a lot of things that are of interest. So first of all, it's the woman talking. She said, Hubs and I were both 70. Okay.
ooh,
Um,
I like it.
Everybody thinks that everyone stops being interested in sex when they're older, which is complete BS. Trust me on that. She said he also masturbated a lot daily, me not so much, but I'm interested in sex with him. We have a lot of history together. We're both CSA survivors. Do you know what that is? Guru of abbreviations and CSA
Yeah,
survivors.
child SA. I can't say the words. You're not allowed to say it, but it's like child bad stuff to a child.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay. Agency, I guess. Okay. Spent several years apart due to military assignments, etc., seeing each other twice a year for several years, so they've been through a lot. She says, I know I should have left when he was cruising for other women when it first started, but it was a very slow boil. And so
Wait,
every time I would, yeah, that's how she
she's
introduced it.
70, right? They're both in their
Yeah.
70s. They've been together for like
But
50 years.
she's talking about the past. She says, I should have left him because he was always fooling around, but then he would say he would stop. Over the past 30 years, I tried everything and try to cope with his sexual tendencies, even going to a couple of strip clubs and even a swingers club once to hang out, not to participate. Okay. Looking back, none of this really brought us closer together or led to him being more honest and open with me. So, he says it's imaginary sex, it's just masturbation, not a big deal. But now he says he doesn't do it anymore at all.
Wait,
And we don't have any sex life anymore. And he says he's not doing that with himself. He said he stopped 2 years ago. So I'm thinking, well, we only had sex 4 times in the past 6 or 8 months. It's never been such a dead bedroom. He doesn't do anything sexual with me, even though he's fully capable. Okay, he would claim that he does make advances, but when I don't respond the way he likes, somehow he tells me that I'm not. He tells me that I'm not interested, even though I am. Okay, so he barely notices when I make an advance. Okay, so then I just give up after 10 or 20 minutes of this. So we're at an impasse. It's a dangerous point in the marriage. We even went to a marriage counselor, which is expensive. And the marriage counselor started sort of taking my side. And my husband said, oh, I don't want to go with that counselor anymore. He's just taking your side. So I know I'm not a model. I'm older. I'm not totally ugly. I still have a good body and a good face. I don't have a lot of wrinkles. I'm not sagging. I've taken care of myself. That's what she says. My husband claims he's still attracted to me and there's nothing wrong physically with me. Okay. So I don't know. That's what I should be doing here. Is there something wrong with me? I wish that we could, just have a straightforward conversation, but I always feel like there's just nothing but lies. Like about not masturbating. I said, I don't think there are guys out there who don't masturbate at all. That doesn't make sense.
Don't
So
you
that's what she said.
eventually stop? Doesn't it eventually turn off? Like, he's 70.
No, I don't
He's
think
not
it
taking
does.
that pill.
She says he's fully capable, so I guess he's fine, but I don't think it ever
So,
stops. Yeah, I don't think so.
so I think that probably they just have, it sounds like a lot of communication problems. It's so interesting to see that people at 70 have the same problems as at 20.
That's my
So
point.
I think
That's why I
that,
wanted to have this one.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think the problem is bedroom problem. I think it's a communication problem. What they could, just a couple of things they can do. You can get practical. There's this thing you can get where you have a light. Whenever you're horny, you turn on the light, so the other person knows, so there's no confusion. Like, it sounds like that, where he's like, I made a move, and she's like, I didn't notice, and she's like, I made a move, and he didn't notice, right? And my wife's move is to grab it and yank on it. It's not subtle. And I had to talk to her about it early on because I was like, you're way too hard. I thought she was gonna rip it right off. I was like, can you just let me know a different way besides hurting me? Because it's hard to initiate from pain for me. But so I fortunately have never dealt with a subtlety issue. She's not subtle. If she wants it, she grabs it and yanks on it. So maybe try that. He'll know.
This is what
but
she
also
said
it's-
about that. She says, when I'm in bed with him watching a show, okay, I'm going to say in parentheses, don't have a TV in your bedroom. Bad idea. If I snuggle and
Well-
pet him, which is well, bad idea to have a TV.
That's
would
the
never have a
biggest
TV in my
problem.
bedroom. Well, it is a problem. If I snuggle and pet him, which is me making an advance, he barely notices, and after 10 or 20 minutes of me attempting to initiate, I give up. That's what she said. So
Oh.
I think he knows that she's initiating, but he's not interested
Well,
in sex with her.
I don't know. That could be. My wife does that sometimes. That's not initiation, and sometimes it just is really annoying. So I'm like, I don't like. I could see a misinterpretation there, just because I know what my wife's signal is. My wife doesn't do a medium signal. I'm like, I don't want to cuddle right now. I'm just in a book. Stuff's about to get good in this book, so I understand that. But I think that, yeah, I would just say, that's where I would start with. Like, let's make a clear sign. If he's saying I'm initiating too and you're missing it, like, okay, great. Here's what we'll do. Whenever we want to do it, we'll light a candle. Whatever your thing is, do a thing.
I
That's
don't
like a
think
clear
he's interested.
sign.
I don't think he's interested. I think
Yeah.
she's interested in continuing this, and he's not, because she's not.
Well,
yeah, he's not
it
saying, "Oh,
sounds
I'm
like-
initiating." Just I think it's he's not interested.
well, he's been up to shenanigans for so long.
Yeah.
It sounds like, I mean, he's been cheating on her since the Korean War. Is that how long ago? 50 or the Vietnam War? Like,
No, not that long.
he's been cheating on her since the Civil War. Like,
The Gulf
he's been
War.
cheating on her since the invention of the photograph. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you have endured years of a bad marriage, right? Of like
Yeah.
so much shit. Like, why would he start treating you right now? Like, why bother? I've gotten away with it for 50 years. Why would I start treating you with respect on year 51? So, not to suggest jump ship, but maybe here's what you could say. Because I've talked to my wife about this too. We talk about everything. Everything we talk about, then talk to my wife about. I was like, I was like, listen, at a certain point, I won't want to touch you anymore, right? Once I hit a certain age, don't know if it's going to be 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. I look forward to that day when I no longer think about it, so I can have total clarity and deep wisdom, because I'm no longer driven by my downstairs brain. Just get a mister, right? Just like get someone who just meets your need, whatever. Like, think about that. Like, maybe that's the solution. She just gets, like a pool boy or a cabana
These are the
boy.
discussions that we have. I said to my wife, if something happens to me, I want you to find someone else. And she says, I could never be interested in finding anyone else, so I'm not going to do that. And I go, yeah, I want you to find someone else. Damn it! If something happens to me, you need to promise me you'll find someone else. She says,
Yeah, that way
no,
the converse is true. So
That's how it goes
Here's-
on in our house.
I can't remember if this was you or someone else who was talking to me. They were like, well, if I'm in a coma after 2 years, my wife is allowed to meet someone else.
That wasn't me, because my
Someone's-
rule's 3
okay.
years. Mine is the 3 years.
Oh my gosh. Here's mine.
I'm tough.
So here's my rule. If I go into a coma, I have 30 days to wake up. If I'm not awake on day 30, she unplugs me.
Okay.
Here's
Well, that's
why.
smart. We have a medical directive, like no heroic measures for us. We
Well,
have that.
I don't have a problem with
notarized.
the heroic measure, but what I mean
We don't
is,
want that. We don't want that.
I'm in a coma, but I know I've got 30 days to work my way out of it. So I have an
I see.
actual time pressure.
But what if
'cause
it's
most
like
people,
30
right, like-
days and you're just 1 day away, and you go, oh, it's 1 day away. I'm almost
Doesn't
there.
matter.
Almost
Oh.
to the surface of the ocean, and I'm gonna, surface, and there's sunlight and
don't care.
angels singing,
Almost-
and I'm back. And your
Almost
plug gets
only
pulled.
counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
All right.
If I don't make it, I don't make it. Right?
No, gotta go. You gotta change
So-
that to the 3-year rule, man. When you're in a
No,
coma, you're in
I don't want to be in a
world
coma.
that could
I don't
be-
want to be in a coma
it
for
could-
3 years.
It could be a great
It
world.
creates a
you're in. I mean, we
pressure
don't
on
know.
me to escape.
But
It
we could be
creates
in
a motivation
maybe
to
not.
get out of there.
Maybe not. Maybe it's an enjoyable place. We don't know where people go in a coma, but maybe
Yeah.
it's a wonderful place, and that's why they stay, because they go, "Oh, this is so great. This is heaven." I don't
Right,
want
but
to
that's the thing. So I know that it's a short-term vacation. That's what I mean. I'm creating a pressure, so I have a plan in advance. Everyone has their own thing, but that's mine. So we're revealing a lot today. I've got
I
one
don't
for
think
you.
that any marriage should be dead for more than like 3 or 4 days. I think you should be having sex unless some physical thing happens.
Yeah, if I'm in
you
a
can't-
coma, I expect my wife 3
Yeah.
times a week to come and ride me.
She should give you hand jobs or ride. Exactly.
No.
Okay, we got
We both have to
Full
experience
on.
pleasure. She needs to get on and try and get pregnant.
full on.
Here's
Okay,
one.
Got it. All right.
My wife wanted an open marriage, and after I started
Yeah.
dating, she wants to add more rules. So
Of course she does.
it's Yeah. So she says, here's your choices: open marriage or divorce. Feels like the choices are both the same thing. And so we stay together, got 2 kids. I work long hours, and divorce sounds horrible. So here's the rules we have: no bringing dates into the house, no dating
Mhm.
mutual friends, acquaintances, family members, and keep things private. So for the
Mhm.
next 2 years, I didn't have any time for dating. So I wasn't even trying, right?
Yeah.
I moved to I moved to another room because I thought of her being with another man, and then coming home and sleeping in bed next to me was gross, right? So our relationship is purely transactional. We're basically partners at raising kids. I don't
Sure.
want to know anything about I don't want to know about what she's up to. I don't care about her shenanigans, whatever. So this summer, I got in a good situation. So I realized I got ahead financially. So I realized, oh, I can cut my work hours from 74 hours a week to 30. What a jump. This guy's a hero. That's such a success, right? My wife says, hey, you know what? Why don't we get into more debt so we can go to a bigger house and get a new car? And I said, no way, dude. Right? You're
She's not
like,
working, is she? Is she working, or she's not working 74 hours a week? Surely.
no, you know what she's working at? She's working them boyfriends.
Okay.
So I went on a vacation that I finally needed after working, right? And this is late 30s. I fought for it. I did some renovation of the house. I turned the basement into a man cave, started working out, playing sports. This guy's turning awesome. What's happening? This guy just went awesome. Like, everything he's doing is cool. And then I started trying to actually get dates. I'm not really into the bedroom stuff, but I'm looking for someone to like go out together, watch movies, have fun, and then, right? So it's like, I want the whole
He's
thing.
not into hookups. He wants to form a
Yeah,
relationship with
he's
somebody.
a
It sounds like
relationship
it.
guy. He's like, I dated a
Yeah.
couple of them, then I found
Sure.
someone who I clicked. We started going to
Right.
concerts, art galleries, comic conventions, movies, and we could boink too. This guy's so
Right.
legendary. This guy's crushed. This guy
Yeah.
is literally crushing his divorce. He's winning the divorce,
They're still
right?
married though, aren't they? They're still married.
He's still married to the other woman the other
Yeah.
woman's been dating for 2 years. He just started, right? A few
Yeah.
months ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
his wife goes, I want to talk about your dates. He goes, I'm not doing that.
So where's
And
the
then I caught my
problem
wife
here?
going through my phone. I caught my wife going through my
Mm.
phone and I go, what do you think you're doing? And she goes, I want to change the rules of our open marriage. I want to repair our marriage by going to a counselor. I want to start sleeping in the same room and to start having fun together. Oh my gosh, this
Too
wife
late.
is
Too
turning
late.
green with jealousy.
So
Because
you
he's
can't. You
literally
made your bed. You gotta sleep in it now. You know. It was her idea.
he's in
She agreed.
he's got a girl who will go to Comic Cons with him. Do you know how hard that is to find? Like,
I know
let's
I know when you heard that, like you go, what? Wait, what's her number?
he's like, I'm split between trying to fix her marriage and hand her divorce papers. No, here's what happened. As soon as she saw you were happy, she did not like it. Right? That's
That's
what she
exactly what
hates.
happened. When she found you're successful with your life, she doesn't want that. She wants to be miserable while
She's
she
like,
has fun.
what if we get a bigger house so you can keep being working?
Yeah.
She wants
Yeah.
her to have an open marriage and not him.
Yeah.
This stuff is all once you can't undo whatever you do to a
No.
relationship. Once you open a marriage, it's so hard to
No.
close it. Once you go to
Yeah.
dirty clubs together, whatever, like it's hard to go back. So all of that stuff that like you think is a good idea, and like this idea that she just wants to talk about partners with him and all of that stuff. She's like, outside the marriage, I just want physical stuff, not a relationship. And he's like, yeah, but listen, the new girl's is cooler than you.
Yeah,
So
that ship has
yeah,
sailed, really. That
this
ship
guy
has
needs to
sailed.
just put a lock on the man cave, update his phone password to words and not just
Mhm.
numbers, and
Mhm.
just like, because your wife sounds terrible. She sounds like a horrible human being. So jump ship.
So here's a thought from somebody. He said, soon the 20-somethings who are so smug about their mastery of technology, the 20-somethings will fall to sink very, very soon and be laughed at the same way they laugh at older people who don't understand how things work. Okay, but their fall, meaning the 20-somethings fall, will come sooner because the speed of tech advancement is so much faster. I guess that's like a version of this could be you someday, you know? Be
Yeah,
careful who you
I
laugh
agree.
at because they'll be laughing at you. I think that's probably true. I started getting into computers when I was 11 or 12, and at the time when nobody did. This was in the early 70s, and programming computers, and I even designed a computer, and I was always really big on technology, and I've always kept up with things, but most people don't. and it is going faster and faster. We're going to have those glasses soon. Instead of having our phones, we're going to be walking around with these augmented reality glasses. No
Great.
doubt about it. The phones there'll be no more phones in 5 years. Everyone will be wearing glasses.
I hate what you're saying. It's so
Whether
horrible.
we like it or not. I know. I don't know who makes these rules. It's just what happens. Let's see. One more. We'll get one more, and then we'll get you out of here. Let's see. Why don't you take the last one? Ask me the last question.
Oh, can we watch one of the videos? Can we watch a video for our last
Oh,
one?
a video. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's watch the one. Gosh, I can't remember what it's called. I want to watch the one from the girl who's like a dating coach. Any of them are good. They're all good, actually. Any of them are good.
Okay.
I love these. These are my faves.
Okay.
They always cheer me up.
You're curating them, so that's very helpful for us because we like curated content.
Yeah, this is the one.
Pieces of advice I've ever read about relationships is this: a man calling you baby means nothing. A man moving into your house means nothing. A man calling you his girlfriend means nothing. A man marrying you means nothing. Do you know what means something? A man changing his ways to keep you. That's what means something.
Wow. That's very interesting. Okay, so if he gets married, that means nothing. That's what she said.
The only thing that matters is him giving up his happiness for you. Giving up the motorcycle, giving up his tennis racket.
You said?
Yeah, she's got a huge following. This video has 5 million views. So here's a piece of advice I will give you. Never take dating advice from someone who's better looking than you. That's why you should be listening to this show, because we're two monsters. You know she's getting the views because she's a pretty girl. She's living life on easy mode. And here's what you can tell is that because she's so good looking, people will say anything to get into those pants. And that's the thing. So there's a really amazing line in a movie where a guy says, it's in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I think he goes, "Oh, I would hate to be good looking because then you never know if anyone's lying to you." And I thought that was really true. Like, people think being good looking is so great, but good looking people, you can't really trust anyone, right?
So it's an interesting thing about this woman. Okay. She is using a beauty filter. She has the material that could be good, but she could have a lot of problems. Because let's look at this. This is an AI beauty filter applied to this video. You can tell it's way overdone. Don't you see? It's way over smooth. There's no skin blemishes. It's fake.
Oh, I just assumed she'd used a makeup shotgun. So I don't know. Like, I don't want to judge the person in particular, but anyway, my point is that that's what people are responding to is the attractiveness of the video more than anything else. And the advice is terrible. Okay. It's also like a man moving into your house. What does that happen? It's like she always moves into the guy's house. Come on now. So I always love dating advice from women because it's like so often terrible, or it's always
easy you get great advice from
personal
women if you look at the 180 rule, right? You just have to look at the 180 rule. Exactly the opposite is spot on. So it's a very useful advice. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's nothing that means less than marrying someone. It doesn't mean he loves you. It's like, I can tell you what, there's one person that's not getting married. It's like, what a thing to say. It's like the only thing that matters is if someone changes to keep you. So that means you have to threaten to leave in order to get what you want. Very unhealthy relationship. It's crazy.
Also, I'm personally not interested in proving myself to somebody. Honestly, I guess I'm too.
Yeah. So that brings up something. So here's a dating thing. I think you'll find this interesting. So when I first started dating, the thing is, like, guys were like, "How do I know a girl likes me?" And there's a list of 31 physical signals, right? Like, she brushes her hair, she points her knees towards you. And then here's the thing I learned. If you're in a bar or on the street, in the park, whatever, and talking to a woman, if she doesn't like you, she will walk away.
Basically, if she's still talking to you, she likes you.
Yes. So when my wife is like, "Do you love me?" I was like, "I haven't left." Like, what do you... Right? When she asks that, as all wives do sometimes, they need a reassurance. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's the sign, right? The sign is I'm still here. People look for these, because of movies, they look for like these big, giant signs, right? Like, I remember
what do you think she means what does she
Okay.
mean by he has to change his behavior? Like, what is she looking for to be meaningful as a sign that he loves her? What's the behavior change she's looking for?
Okay. I have two guesses. The first is that he stops cheating on her. And the
Okay.
second is that he gives up his motorcycle. Like it's what I feel like that. It's like he stops going to the nightclub with other women,
Yeah.
or
Stops
he
having
gives up
fun.
his
Yeah.
motorcycle. Whatever
Yeah.
she wants him to give up, it's something because it's like
Something he enjoys. It's like the thing he enjoys the most in life. She wants him to give up for
prove
her.
you
That-
love
yeah.
me by
Yeah.
prove you love me by sacrificing the thing you love the most. Take
Yeah.
a chainsaw to your guitar, and it's like, would you want to be with someone who wanted to take away your happiness? Like that's the thing you have to figure out. And sometimes we do have these things with my wife where like she doesn't like the things I like, so we have to figure things out. And there's things she likes that I don't like, but to want someone to be not the only way you can prove you love me is by being unhappy. Great. That's who I want to be
Find
with.
someone
Someone who
else.
wants to make me unhappy.
Find someone else who will put up with that crap. I'm not the one.
Yeah,
I think it's
like-
hilarious. I think it's great that she's that honest, though. I think there's a lot of women that are that way, but they're not going to articulate that as clearly as she has. And as a man, it's good to know that these women are out there, because then you can be kind of on the alert. You know, when you're looking around, you go, "Oh, no, she's one of those." She's she's a, what's the word for a man hater? Androgynist.
No, wait, misandrist.
Misogynist is woman. Man is andry.
No,
it would be
misogynist. No,
Is
it's
it-
misogynist
oh,
and misandrist.
Gynist is the woman part. Misandrogist.
Drist. Misandrist means I hate. Man, yeah,
Yeah.
so it just yeah, I mean the thing is that you want to
hates
look
men.
for someone who you want to look for someone who wants you to be happy and that you want them to be happy.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, exactly. You get pleasure when they're happy. That's the definition of love. And it could be for your girlfriend, your children, your dog.
But not too happy.
So I have a question. Have you ever heard of this product, Urgent Oxytocin Assist? This is,
well, I see a picture of a horse, so I have a feeling it's going to give me a big, super hard dog.
Well, yeah. Anyway, this is one that's made by Ideal Male Labs, one of the companies I'm associated with, and it's very interesting because oxytocin, they say, is like the love hormone. It kind of makes you feel more close to somebody, and it actually, yeah.
So if I take that pill, I'll fall in love with my wife
Again, so it's like finally, or
it's like love potion number 9.
Well,
like it makes you fall in love.
I don't know.
Like
I think it does help.
Love potions.
It does help, and it's also raises testosterone in men. Some studies show, and it
does it cover up her smell?
Nah,
if she smells like dog
that.
poop, we'll hide the smell.
No, do that. But it is really cool.
A
There's
hell of a
nothing quite
pill.
like it.
Yeah.
So you should.
I know.
There'll be a link in the area. You can try out a bottle. It's great stuff. Really, it's great.
I know that oxytocin is what you feel right after, as a man, you finish, right? So if you want to fall in love after you both have your finish, you hug and cuddle. But if you don't want her to fall in love with you, push her away and you get out of that bed before she falls in love.
No, it's more like it's just the feeling you get when you start cuddling, and the more you're with somebody and you're close to them, the more the oxytocin rises, and you just feel really good around them. That's what it is. It's like feeling really, really good around somebody. So it's a feeling of connection.
I like the sound of that.
It's really, really great. Connection is fantastic. And I think there's some men and women that can't have connection. Maybe that dating coach is one. I mean, they just don't feel that, and oxytocin is the key to the feeling of connection with somebody. So with that, let us promise to see you next week. And I want to thank you for visiting with us at Men's Mayhem. Hit the subscribe because it helps. Write a comment, hit the bell icon so that wherever you are in life, if you're with your wife and you're in bed and whatever, and then we're doing you'll be right there and you go, just a minute, honey, you roll off and then you watch or listen to Men's Mayhem. It's totally worth it.
You got to watch this with me. Baby, you're going to love it.
Yes, that's even better. We'll see you next week.